I believe that the situation in Libya is dire. I believe Gaddafi is a madman, an angry person, an evil person. I believe that his coalition and needs to be defeated. He needs to be overthrown. Now, I obviously don't believe that the president acted as quickly as was appropriate for the situation, but I'm going to take a break from criticizing him and actually thank him for his leadership now that we are in that country. I thank the president for having the United States join with France and England, our other allies, in trying to defeat Gaddafi's forces. Gaddafi is a mass murderer, and I believe that his opposition proves once again that something is happening, that people are yearning for freedom. And I believe that people deserve freedom. And I am grateful to the President of the United States, the Secretary of State, for sending in troops to help the opposition to Gaddafi and our allies in fighting Gaddafi. I hope that he's overthrown from power. This is a mission, a truly humanitarian mission. It's a mission that we cannot afford to not be a part of because I think that this situation really does affect us directly. And not only us, but it really affects the international community. So I'm glad that I'm thankful to the President of the United States and the Secretary of State for their position on this. And I believe that, there's no doubt about it that a majority of the people in this country are very concerned about the situation in the Middle East. I don't know, what most people's views are on Libya, but I do know that this is a necessary mission for both humanitarian and foreign relations interests. So I'm grateful due to that. The race for 2012 has become very interesting. Today, former Minnesota Governor Tim Pawlenty announced he was forming a presidential exploratory committee. Governor Pawlenty has an impressive record: cut spending, reduced taxes, reformed education, health care, took on the public employee unions. This is a guy who is a reformer, and he does have results. He's a Washington outsider. He's a smart guy. He's authentic. I think he has some things that the frontrunners don't have. He has the authenticity that many believe Romney lacks. He has the intelligence that many believe, including me, that Palin lacks. He has the fundraising ability that Huckabee lacks, and he doesn't have the baggage that Gingrich has. I think that he will be a force in the Republican Party, and he might be the only candidate. He's the only candidate I could think of that can unite the entire party. Social conservatives, fiscal conservatives, foreign policy conservatives, Tea Partiers, establishment types, conservatives, moderates, independent Republicans even, or independents that vote in the Republican primary, rather. So I think he has the potential to really attract a wide array of voters, not only in a primary, but I think in a general election. He's a reform-minded person. He has results. He's a nice guy. He's an honest guy. He cares about the country, and I think that he understands a lot of the problems we face. Now, this is not an endorsement because I am not committing to anybody. I'm just saying this is why I like Tim Pawlenty. He'll have to answer for a couple things. He'll have to answer for why he supported a regional cap-and-trade program in Minnesota, and he'll also have to answer to some of the things that are my concerns, which are: what's his agenda to create jobs, to get taxes under control, to secure the border, and will he adhere to a peace through strength foreign policy? Now, I'm encouraged from what I've heard from him on all these issues. These are the issues that are important to me, and I'm encouraged from what I've heard from him, but I'm not yet sold on him. This is not an endorsement in any way. Now, but Pawlenty, despite forming an exploratory committee, is not the only candidate with an exploratory committee. He's the first major candidate with an exploratory committee. You also have Herman Cain, the former CEO of Godfather's Pizza. I like him. I think he's a good guy. He's a strong candidate. And you have former governor of Louisiana, Buddy Roemer, who is also an interesting candidate, to say the least. He's running on a very interesting message. So we'll see what happens in the coming weeks and months with the Pawlenty candidacy, or when Romney and Gingrich, Palin, Huckabee, Daniels, Rick Santorum, and others announced that they're running. We'll see what happens. It's also been interesting watching the former mayor of New York City, Rudy Giuliani, return to New Hampshire. And, if you'd asked me 4 years ago, would I support Rudy? I have issues with him on illegal immigration. I have issues with him on abortion. But I think he, excuse me, I think he did a phenomenal job in New York City, cleaning up crime and reforming welfare and cutting taxes. Now, 4 years ago, I would not have supported Rudy. I thought that, but I think that right now, the country needs somebody who is determined to. Now, I'm not saying he's the ideal nominee, and he certainly is more moderate on issues than I am. That being said, as long as Ron Paul is a potential candidate, Rudy will never be the most liberal candidate unless Ron Paul or Gary Johnson, who are to the left of him, decide not to run. Now all the Paulites are going to go attacking me, but there's only, there is such thing as fact. And the fact of the matter is that Rudy is a moderate, maybe too independent, but he is certainly not a liberal like Ron Paul, at least on foreign affairs. You can make the argument that Rudy's more liberal than Paul on social issues, but I don't really see much of a difference between them at all on social issues. Very little difference that I can think of. And on economic issues, I see a slight difference. Perhaps Paul is to the right of Rudy on economic issues, but not by much. Anyway, Rudy is not my first choice in the Republican primary. We'll see who's running. He will get my vote in a general election if he's nominated. I think Rudy understands foreign affairs. I think he understands the economy. That being said, he's not my first choice because, like I said, I have plenty of issues with the guy. But, I'd be happy to list, if anyone's curious, I'd be happy to list them. But I can tell you right now that I know people are saying this field is weak. We have some strong candidates. Pawlenty, Daniels, Huckabee, and others who are really strong potential candidates.